Greetings, friends, and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara, and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today, we are playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and in today's episode, we are going to take Shamspeare down once and for all. He has been such a faker this entire time, and finally his lies are going to catch up to him. And, well, Miss Green might be collateral damage. We'll just have to see how this plays out. But without further ado, let's hop into the game. Okay, so we need a sample to help locate Selden's loot that's hidden in his old room. What form will the sample take? So, just as a reminder, this is for the skin print, right? So we give a small sample to Sholmes's skin print machine, and it will be able to identify anywhere that that person has touched. So I did some thinking about this, and if we look in the court record, what would Selden have touched? Not any of these items. Nothing here is anything he would have touched that I think. Like, nothing here looks like anything he would have touched. So I don't think it's evidence. Instead, I think it's going to be a person, a particular person who may or may not be wearing a certain key around their neck. All right, so let's see. Let's see if we're right. We will need something of Selden's in order to create the indicator solution to find his loot. And something the convict owned happens to be in the possession of somebody listed in the court record. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, your powers of reasoning appear to be on the up. So, which particular person do you have in mind? From who can we obtain a possession of the late convict Selden to create the indicator solution? That's gonna be Miss Green.
Take that!
Miss Green? Me? What do you want with me? The key around your neck, if you please. Sorry? Shamspeare knows he's sunk now. That key belonged to Selden. There will be remnants of secretions from the man's skin on its surface that we can use. Very true. That is the sample we need. Using it, we can create the indicator solution required for Mr. Sholmes' skin print seeker. To find out exactly what Selden touched in the room that he used to rent. Mr. Shamspeare is one great to another, I assure you. If the late convict's haul is hidden somewhere in his former lodgings, I shall uncover it in no more than 30 minutes. Ugh. Oh boy, he's not happy about that, I don't think. So, Mr. Shamspeare, the truth is well within our grasp now, and as such, you will never get your hands on Selden's stolen wealth. Ugh, ugh, ugh. In that case, I'll gladly let Mr. Sholmes have this key. No, give the key to me. The detective shan't have it. It's over, Mr. Shamspeare. No. You're out of options now. There's only one thing left for you to do. Admit your guilt. Whoa. Oh, shameful spear. Despair. Be thy name. Man, he's a bit overreacting. He's just completely knocked out. Oh, man. Is he finally going to admit things? I never intended to kill the man. I just wanted to drive him out of the room, that's all. So you'd have the time to find the convict's haul of stolen goods? Yet after you'd killed the young man, you still didn't move into the room. I asked the landlord, of course. I pleaded with him. But he refused. Why? I was 3 months behind with the rent, for one thing. Mr. Garrideb really has had to put a lot to put up with. And he had the gas repair work done immediately afterwards, putting the room out of action for a while. And then this Japanese man swooped in at just the right moment to sign the new lease. Poor Mr. Natsumi. What unfortunate timing. Oh man. And then 5 days ago, after the incident on Briar Road, when the Japanese fellow got himself arrested, I thought I'd finally had my chance. But it wasn't to be. No, the scene was sealed off and guarded by the police, night and day. And, if I remember rightly, Mr. Shom spent the whole day in there reading books. I couldn't even enter the room, let alone search for the loot. Which is why, on the day Mr. Natsumi was acquitted and returned to his room, you once again tried your trick of blowing air into the gas pipe that feeds the stove in his room. Unbeknownst to you, however, that action would lead you into a deadly trap. William Shamspeare. How does it go? To be or not to be? That is the question. From Shakespeare's Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. Well, let me tell you, in your case, it's not to be. That is the answer. You deserve to die for what you've done. He's not denying it. Oh man. He finally, the weight, the gravity of everything he's done is like falling down on him now. At first, I really did think it was just a terrible accident. I'll never forget our conversation the night before Duncan died. The gas supply in my new lodgings are a complete disaster, you know, Olive. The gas supply? Yes, the stove always seems to go out in the middle of the night for some reason. That's no joke. They say it's the convict's curse. Oh, Duncan, please, don't stay there. I don't care how cheap it is. All right, then. If it's that important to you, I'll start looking for a new place. There are spare rooms at my house. Why don't you leave that horrible room tonight? No, I had better not. We said we'd wait until we graduated before we told our parents, remember? But that was the last time we ever spoke. That very night, he fell victim to the gas. Oh, man. If only I'd known it was going to happen, I'd have insisted he left that horrible room that instant. But instead, all I've been left with is bitter regret. I stopped going to school. But something kept drawing me back to the house on Briar Road. I saw a stooped Eastern-looking man with a mustache coming out of the house one day when I was there. He walked up the road to Grubb's Grubbery for some food, so I followed him and sat myself down next to him. He had some watery-looking soup and started to pick a quarrel with a publican. That place is cursed, I tell you, cursed. The ghost of that convict who used to live there, trying to suffocate me. I wake up in the middle of the night for freezing to death, but because the stove has gone out. The room is full of gas, and I can hardly breathe. But the pipes have been checked. No problem there. It's like I'm the problem. That's what they're thinking. But how could that be? Duncan was gone, and now this man had almost suffered the same fate. Could it really be a curse? Then I remembered. A rumor I'd heard about how the gas companies go around investigating the gas installations. A rumor? Ah, you mean? Yes, everybody's heard the stories, it seems, about how they go around checking the pipes. How anything connected to the gas can be extinguished by blowing air into the pipework. That's when it started. A little flicker of doubt in the back of my mind that just wouldn't go away. Was it really an accident, though? She knew then. Once I'd had the idea, it wouldn't leave me alone. It plagued me day and night. So I bought this at one of the black markets in the East End. Black market? I'd never been. I just heard people talk about them. And you really can buy anything you can think of there. In some ways, being able to get my hands on this so easily made me even more determined. I had to find out one way or another. Was Duncan's death an accident, or was it murder? And your chosen method for establishing the truth was simple, but highly effective. Smear poison on the gas pipe you suspected the man of tampering with, and wait. If Mr. Shamspeare was innocent, nothing would come of what you'd done. But if he was guilty, he would pay for his crimes dearly. That's right. I found out the name of the man I suspected, William Shamspeare. And then I wrote him this little note. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. She was clever. If he'd done it, I knew that would worry him enough so he'd be sure to go. So I waited to see if it worked. And of course, Mr. Shamspeare followed the instructions to the letter. Indeed he did. I worked out where the gas pipe was straight away. So I smeared a good amount of the poison I'd bought all around the mouth of the pipe. All the time praying that the devil's work wouldn't be done and that it was all just some wild fantasy. Actually, no. All the time praying that the devil's work would be done and that the culprit would get his just desserts. She was angry. Everybody's just soaking this all in, trying to figure out what to make of it. It's just a crazy story. Nobody really knows what to make of it. 3 days ago, when you were first stood in the dock before me, this whole affair seemed relatively straightforward. Yes, my lord. I certainly never imagined the depths of depravity that we should subsequently find lurking behind the scenes. It has been a long road, my Nipponese friend. Oh, yes. And one I certainly didn't envisage walking with you. Oh boy. Nevertheless, together we have reached the light at the end of the tunnel, as it were. Miss Green? Yes, my lord? You will henceforth be stripped of your freedom, as punishment for the attempted murder of Mr. William Shamspeare. Yes, I know. And you, Mr. Shamspeare, you will be tried for the murder of Mr. Duncan Ross in cold blood, and the subsequent attempted murder of Mr. Soseki Natsumi, here present. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? Yesterday at the hospital, when you and your friend stopped me from... From ending your life by drinking what was left in the poison bottle? I wasn't myself. I can't even really remember what was going through my mind. To be or not to be, I suppose. But that's a question that's so hard to answer, it seems. Well, personally, I'm glad of your being here, Miss Green. Oh, and I'd like to believe that it's a blessing Mr. Shamspeare didn't die when he ingested the poison. For your sake, at the very least. Yeah, she's not thinking of it that way. Because of you, I chose life, not death. And now you've made the truth come out at last. Really, I can't thank you enough. She's actually happy for once. Oh, Miss Green. Mr. Soseki Natsumi. Yes, my lord. The court declares that you are exonerated from all blame in this matter. Accordingly, I would call upon the ladies and gentlemen of the jury to present a verdict of not guilty. We are in full agreement, my lord. In that case, I hereby declare the defendant not guilty. Yay, we did it! All the confetti that just gets released in a courtroom randomly and the fireworks. Awesome. We did it, guys. Oh, that was a long one. Court is adjourned. All right. Now what's gonna happen, I wonder? We'll have to see. 23rd of February, 3:24 p.m. The Old Bailey, Defendant's Antechamber. Oh, yes, yes, at last. Divine justice duly done. Divine justice? My dear fellow, if there were any divine justice in this world, you would shave that mustache. No, this has nothing to do with my mustache. Some say that a luxuriant mustache is a sign of physical prowess, Mr. Sholmes. Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Once again, you have saved me from doom. I'm very happy to have been able to help, Mr. Natsumi. Congratulations on your acquittal. You're second in almost as many days. I was first acquainted with and gained affection for English literature whilst in our great homeland empire. And then, by a twist of fate, I was brought to the land that bore the fruit of that literature. Only, the city of bricks and mortar became my prison. Try as I might, I never find my feet here. In the end, I confined myself to my room and lived life through friendly old books. You've had such a difficult time, haven't you? Ah, but a week ago now. I dragged you out of that dark and dingy room of yours, did I not? You did. And I've seen more of life in this week than in all my years to date. And for the first time, I feel I've begun to see the true face of the English that's so far been hiding from me behind the wall of fog. My dear fellow, there's nothing special about the true face of the English as you put it. Wheresoever one goes in the world, humans are human. There are few genuine differences. Yes, I think you're right. I finally started to see that, and I've come to understand something. I've worked out why I was attracted to English literature in the first place. It's made me see that whatever our nationality, we humans all have the same hopes and fears. We're all just doing our best to live. Well said. I've come to feel the same way. I've made a decision, too. Oh? I'm going to cut short my study tour here and return to Japan. What? Just when we've become friends here in England. What a terrible shame. Oh, I know. That does tug at my heartstrings. It really does. But I've decided I'd like to take everything I've learnt here in Britain and write something of my own. A novel of sorts, I suppose. Oh my! You'll be creating your own literature, Mr. Natsumi? How wonderful! Oh, well, no. I mean, I wouldn't presume to call it literature.
Why not, when that is precisely the definition, Mr. Mustache?
I suppose you're right, yes. It will, in a way, be literature. But as of now, all I know is that I'd like to try my hand at writing. I have no delusions of grandeur.
That's great.
I, for one, would love to read your work.
Well, all things considered, it may be for the best. After all, you have once again emerged victorious from a battle with the Reaper. That's very true.
And there is no salvation for a person in the dark when the Reaper is the prosecutor.
The desire to return post-haste to the perceived safety of your homeland is one I quite understand.
My goodness, yes. Faced with such a terrifying prospect. Nobody would consider that cowardly, I'm quite sure.
Oh boy.
But that's not why I'm leaving. I mean it.
Objection. And that was the case that we found ourselves embroiled in 6 months ago now. Tosaki-san did indeed return to Japan and submitted a report about both cases to the government. It was on reading that report that Professor Mikotoba was prompted to visit the scholar, and barely any time later, Susada-san was given the news that she must return to Japan as well, on the back of a telegram stating falsely that her father had fallen gravely ill. The only possible explanation that comes to mind is what happened after the trial on the following day. The day that we uncovered the loot hidden by the now deceased convict in his former lodgings. Oh boy. What happened with the loot, I wonder? 24th of February, 10:13 a.m., Mr. Natsumi's room.
Oh, well done, Mr. Sholmes. How simply marvelous of you. To uncover the secret hiding place in just one day.
Wasn't it supposed to take 30 minutes? That's what I thought. As I believe I told you, my dear fellow, skin prints are extremely useful in such situations. Wouldn't you agree, Gregson? He's like panic eating his chips there.
Grexy's been happily munching in agreement this whole time, you know, Hurley. Happily? I think perhaps humorously might be closer to the truth.
Yeah, he looks like he's just not happy. So it transpires that man fashioned a hiding place in the ceiling. And what's in it? What exactly is the loot? Let us look then. If you're ready, let us examine the late burglar's haul. Oh boy, what is it? What is that? A collar? Wait, this is related to The Hound of Baskervilles, which is the novel that Iris isn't allowed to publish. And it looks like there's blood on there.
It looks to be some sort of neckband or collar.
And that's a B there. A collar is huge, though.
And look at all the gemstones set in it. I can see why it was claimed to be worth 1,000 pounds. Perhaps I could have it as a belt. Oh, have you noticed the inside there? There are some dark stains.
Oh boy, you don't think they could be blood, do you? I mean, there's quite a lot of it.
On second thought, perhaps I won't have it as a belt. And then of course, there's this emblem here.
A large letter B and a small crown. B for Baskerville? What does this signify, do you think? Oh, I hadn't noticed that. I wonder? I feel as though I've seen that emblem somewhere before, you know? Where could it have been? That's enough of that, I think. What? What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes? All the color has drained from his face. Well, Inspector, I believe you ought to be taking this, oughtn't you? It could be valuable evidence after all. It must be kept safely under lock and key. Yes. Get your grubby hands off that, you lot, and hand it over now. Oh boy, everything's just ending abruptly. Something secret's going on here. I'd never seen a collar that large before, and all those jewels certainly look to be extremely valuable. But that's not what stood out the most to me, at least not once I'd noticed it. Those dark marks on the inside of the collar, those stains. Could they really have been blood? Well, that was a funny case, wasn't it? But it's all buttoned up now. And you look very pleased, Iris. I am, because I was starting to wonder what I could use as the basis of this month's story in the magazine. But this case will be perfect. It's been so fascinating. You're talking about the latest installment of the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, I presume? The mystery of the knife in the mist, and the mustached man and the convict's curse, perhaps. I could make it a two-part story. Oh, I can't wait. A word, please, Iris. Yes, what is it, Hurley? I'm sorry, but you can't write about this case. It's out of the question. What? Why not? It's a great case. Then I shall have to insist that you limit yourself to the first of your two titles. The second must never be written. Is that clear? Something suspicious is going on here. Yes. What is going on? I'm so curious.
And so it was that the second of Seki-san's cases became buried in obscurity. Now, looking back, I feel I understand.
What do we
I can see why
understand?
Mr. Sholmes forbade Iris from publishing the story.
Okay.
It would take a little longer before I saw the link between everything that had happened and would happen. For it wasn't until 2 months after the arrival of Susato-san's letter that events began to unfurl again.
I'm
With
very
an incident
curious.
that took place at the very heart of the eagerly awaited Great Exhibition of London.
Uh-huh. Interesting. So somehow it's all going to tie into the Great Exhibition of London, I wonder? You know, it's been hinted at for many cases now. Crazy. Man, that was an epic case. I am so curious about what is going on. Obviously, the collar is related to the story that Iris wasn't able to publish, The Hound of the Baskervilles. But what about it is forbidden? Are we going to learn about that? And how is it tied to this Great Exhibition of London? I'm so curious what our future cases will hold, but we will find out in future episodes. So if you like this kind of content, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live, we're on Twitch at twitch.tv/LeR27. I have my schedule posted in the about and in the description, and if you want to see which games we're playing each day, I post them on x.com/LeR27. And I hope you'll join me in the next one. Until then, guys, bye.